Now we're here at the Wildlife Park in Ballarat to check out some animals. The park is home to everything from kangaroos, koalas, wombats and emus to snakes, crocs, frogs and lizards.
The park was founded on a passion for conservation. The presentations and experience here are an amazing way to learn and immerse yourself in the animal world. The park is absolutely beautiful and you can feel the love and care the staff have for all of the wildlife here. That's it for us today in Ballarat, but there's so much more to do here.
Thank you so much to the City of Ballarat for letting us explore some of your hotspots and letting us show some of our Vixens fans what your town has to offer.
Well, that one's being very cheeky. Make sure you head to visit ballarat.com.au to start planning your trip today.
The Get Active Victoria app is an easy way to step into everyday activity with videos on yoga, dance, low impact and more. Set your own goals and track your progress. Download the free Get Active Victoria app today. The Get Active Victoria app is an easy way to step into everyday activity with videos on yoga, dance, low impact and more. Set your own goals and track your progress. Download the free Get Active Victoria app today.
And welcome back to the Ballarat Blitz. That's right, Netball Victoria's pre-season tournament. We're here on behalf of Netball Vic and the Melbourne Vixens, who'd like to acknowledge the Wadawurrung people as the traditional owners and custodians of the lands on which we are today, and pay our respects to elders past and present. My name is Hannah Kuhar, and this weekend it's all made possible by the support of the City of Ballarat and the Victorian Government. With me, Matt Blomley, who is a former Australian player, coach of the Victorian men's and mixed netball pathway. Of course, the men's team, you're heading up to national shortly and would have played the Vixens a few times. Tell us, Matt, how are you thinking the Vixens lineup is looking in 2024?
Losing Liz Watson up to the Sunshine Coast Lightning is obviously a big loss when it is the Australian Diamonds captain, but it's a great opportunity now for Lux Hannah Mundy to step up into the wing attack role and take the chance to take the bib that her family is known for as well. But Vixens are looking quite good. I think they've got some solid training partners helping to push them for this season, and obviously a pretty steady lineup overall. But the addition also of Sophie Garvin into goal shooter, very exciting. Her and Kira Austin obviously spent time in the Australian Diamonds camp together. Very, very exciting combination.
Yes, some exciting combinations on both ends of the court. Let's chat about Fever now. So they've got a starting seven in Janelle Fowler, goal shooter, Liv Wilkinson, goal attack, Alice Tegnield, wing attack, Kelsey Brown, centre, Jess Anstis, wing defence, Sunday Ariang, goal defence, and Katie Anderhaney in goalkeeper. Matt, they've had a few changes in the off-season, Fever, some big notable outs. Which new player are you most excited to see today?
I'm quite excited to see how Olivia Wilkinson's going to go out the front of Janelle Fowler there. That combination is very exciting to see. We saw Teague Neal have a terrific wing attack season for them last year. But Katie Ann Dehaney, I think, is going to be quite exciting. She's been at a couple of clubs now and just been pushing for opportunity. And I think now that here's a real chance for her to show that she should be in a starting seven.
Chatting starting sevens, let's flick over to the Melbourne Vixens. Goal shooter Sophie Garvin, goal attack Kira Austin, wing attack Hannah Mundy, centre Kate Maloney, wing defence Kate Eddy, goal defence Joe Weston and goalkeeper Rudy Ellis. A perhaps more settled lineup and a few less ins and outs. Do you think, though, there'll be any surprise packages for the Vixens today?
It'll be interesting to see what Rudy Ellis does in terms of surprise package. She's crossed over from the green dress from the other end, also seeking an opportunity here in Victoria. So we'll see how she goes in those combinations amongst Mannix and Western. Look, you've got a pretty ever-reliable lineup there for the most part, and having commentated with both Kira Austin and M. Mannix before, obviously I'm going to have to put them up as two favourites to look out for.
Well, if the Vixens are your favourite side in 2024, a reminder that the Vixens are taking on the Melbourne Mavericks in round 1 in their first ever derby on Sunday the 14th of April. So if you want to grab tickets to that one or any of the Vixens home games, they're all on sale, so head to melbournevixens.com.au or Ticketek to book memberships and also all the merchandise, can I say, filling the stands. People are visiting Selkirk Stadium and getting around to the merch stand. But if you're at home, shop.melbournevixens.com.au. Plenty of merch to get your hands on. As the play gets underway, we're looking to see a huge matchup kicking off 5 p.m, 1 minute away. Both teams have been very, very strong, both making the grand final in 2022. In 2023, only 1 goal separating both teams in their first 2 matchups. How do you think this one's going to pan out, Matt?
It'll be a tough one, I think, with the flight across here for the Fever in a pre-season match, with the Vixens not having quite as far to travel today. But both sides looking to build something slightly new, slightly different combinations, even though Vixen, you'd say, is a little bit more settled. But we've got an exciting thing where I think the Vixens will get up by that little bit. And given we're here for the Vixens, I think that's the right thing to say as well.
Hello to Netball Victoria. The Vixens, they have had a few other scratchies so far. This pre-season, they headed to Auckland last month where they beat the Stars 71-53 and the Northern Mystics 68-62. So nice to have a little Trans-Tasman rivalry before the SSN season kicks off. But 2 fairly easy wins. We'll see if they have similar fates with the Fever today. Of course, round 1 last year saw the Fever win 62-61. The Vixens taking the Chockies by 1 goal, and then Fever again in the semi-final with a larger margin of 7 goals. So no doubt a lot of passion in this rivalry particularly.
Oh, absolute passion in the rivalry. Nothing like the true East meets West is there when it comes to really strong support. And we know that the passion of that Fever army comes out. And we are seeing a couple of green around here today, but mostly that beautiful navy and teal of the Vixens. But make no mistake, West Coast Fever have got a few Victorians amongst their lineup, including their coach, Dan Ryan, and obviously Kelsey Brown, someone new to their side. Many people were wondering whether she was going to find herself with a contract after the dissolution of the Magpies, and here's another opportunity for her.
Yeah, it's a fantastic story, Kelsey Brown's. It's clear she's just a netball lover and wants to play the game as much as she can, and even calling her retirement when the Magpies disbanded, but was received that lifeline, which perhaps even surprised her.
Yeah, I think she'd start thinking about maybe I'm not going to get looked at and I'll start looking at things post-netball, but when the opportunity came, obviously jumped at it. And she always seemed a bit reluctant to call it a retirement of sorts, whilst other people were trying to put those words in her mouth. So she's still been pushing for fringe of that Diamond squad for quite a while, and you'll get many pundits out there mentioning her name when it comes to it. So it'll be interesting to see how she slots in with the likes of an Alice Teague-Neal, who also Victorian, been over in the Fever lineup for a few years now.
That's right. A few other extra Victorian ins, will make note of them now, the Cransburg twins, and a few ins and outs of the Fever team, of course, heading into this season. Courtney Bruce perhaps headlining the outs off to Sunshine Coast Lightning. Rudy Ellis switching to the Vixens, as we've said. Sasha Glasgow to the Mavericks, although she probably won't be playing too much this year due to injury. Kim Jenner to the Mavericks as well, and Verity Simmons retiring, heading over to AFLW, and Emma Kosh being delisted. On the inside of things, Kelsey Brown, as we've mentioned. Fran Williams comes across from England. Shanice Beckford from Jamaica. Katie Ann Dehaney in the same situation. Jordan Kransberg, training partner, has been elevated. And Liv Wilkinson, of course, across from Victoria as well. Are there any particular ins or outs that are going to be a particular note to the Fever today?
I think Shanice Beckford's obviously an exciting one. Slightly left field recruit, some might say, with the background and maybe wasn't on the radar of a few people. So it'll be exciting to see her when she steps on the court. But Olivia Wilkinson had a couple of opportunities last year in some lineup here in Victoria. It'll be great to see how she slots in. But both sides very exciting, I must say, and great opportunity to see what they both bring.
As we look to the Melbourne Vixens, and the crowd, the 3,000 seats are packing out in support of the Vixens. If you're not here in Ballarat for the Ballarat Blitz, maybe you can head down to the Fan Day at Fed Square on Thursday the 4th of April during the school holidays. But if you can get down here, the atmosphere at Selkirk Stadium is ramping up.
Oh, you're really starting to hear the cheers from the crowd. Each Vixens player as they're getting announced onto court. And MC Pete Laser really getting the crowd up and about as he is known to do. And we see umpires Nathan Begley just handing over the ball, and Josh Bowering on the far side, reserve Tim Marshall.
It's the debutant Brown with the first centre pass. Bit squashed in the corner, Brown. They opt instead for Teague Neild. She's the most prolific feeder for the Fever last year. Tries to get another one in, but it might be Brown.
A bit of a loose feed initially. Having been used to a slightly different goaler in Nelson there previously. So just still finding the feet maybe on a couple of these feeds, but expect that to even out as the season goes on.
Vixens composed, happy to use the sideline for Mundy, so determined in her drive. Swing to the pocket to settle things down, bring that pace just back to a comfortable reset.
And Austin almost doing some head fakes there with the really decisive turn, looking for the pass. Just a misfeed coming then over the head. Defensive pressure though, Vixens. Great start there.
Both teams with a very nervous start. 3 splayed balls within a minute, but there's a bit of confidence. Kira Austin.
Yeah, that took over a minute, which is an unusual thing here in netball for any goal to be scored, sailing down both ends.
Maloney having to use that leadership.
Oh, that's stunning goal of the goaler from Garvin.
Fever, they've had their centre pass broken once. It's another, not centimetre perfect feed, but a good enough feed. Fowler with her first for the day.
We were talking about potentially interesting lineups and matchups earlier, and we mentioned Kelsey Brown, and it'll be interesting to see that she's obviously wearing a centre bib. Many people are so used to seeing her in a wing attack bib more often, and that's probably where she more traditionally grew up as well. But Teague Neild has had that as her spot, certainly to this last year. So it's just how this combination comes together with a slight change of game style there for Brown.
She got such zip about her, so no doubt going to take some time for the mid-quarters to figure out who's making the decisive moves and who's reading off them. It's Fowler with her second.
I think it's a great option throwing Rudy Ellis on her to start off with from Vixen's point of view. They trained against each other constantly at the Fever last year, so she knows Janelle Fowler's game inside and out, you would hope, and it's a great way to start and give Ann Mannix a little bit of a break.
Kira Austin, prolific from under the ring. And a costly turnover for the Fever.
Yes, Vixens want to try and capitalise on this to push the lead out a little bit and then have centre pass. It's a bit of the wind-up from Western. We do see her do that quite often. Austin, very smart there, not waiting at all for that defender. We spoke about that last game, that don't need to wait for the players to all be on court anymore.
Old rules had you make sure that your player had their 2 feet in court, but now, if they're off, if they've taken too long, if they're trying to slow up the play, doesn't matter anymore, forge ahead.
And let's be honest, a few of us did that a number of times in the previous rule. Might just go a little bit slowly, but it's diamond face, Wadawurrung.
Very impressive fly.
She's done that so well up at that next level already.
The Australian Diamond just reading the SSN speed slower than everyone else.
Interesting little setup there. Liv Wilkinson was trying for a hold right up near the transverse line. Unusual sort of setup for a goal line. No hesitation on the shot though.
Some pressure from the Fever, trying to set up a wall off the centre pass. Vixens using depth and width to get through it.
Oh, and that is
talking
classic.
about getting through it.
That is Akira Austin I love to watch. Just those pinpoint feeds, the release where she just knows someone's eyes down, and yet again, she provides some magic.
Classy delivery running out of court from Teague Neild. She and Fowler with such a strong connection built over so many years. Wadawurrung penalised outside of the circle. Clever setup from Garvin.
There was a terrific setup there. It's often tough for an off-the-circle penalty like that. Goalers end up going behind a lot of hands, but there was a very clear pass in there for Mundy and terrifically executed.
Wadawurrung wrestling for the reset ball. And how's the delivery? It doesn't get quicker or more fluid than that.
Yeah, that was a fantastic delivery, and you can see Liv Wilkinson already heading up to the transverse line, expecting it to go in.
Bounce pass out of the circle, takes time and gives time for the Vixens to reset. Mundy looking high and dishing low. But it's beautiful from Austin, not in doubt from that mid-range.
The curious thing about this centre pass setup so far from the Fever is Teague Neild's probably trying to work second phase a lot more, and we're seeing a lot of Liv Wilkinson early on there. I'm curious as to whether that's deliberate or whether that's something that is just maybe Teague Neil struggling to get out with the pressure.
We'll keep our eyes peeled for Coach Dan Ryan. He's on his feet on the sideline, very involved. We saw him getting stuck into the warm-up, feeding some balls to his player. So very much a coach abreast of playing trends and as a formidable player himself.
Yeah, in that substitution box, doesn't have the bib on though. Has taken a seat again. Sharing the workload well are the Vixens, Garvin and Austin. It's 5 and 4 for them.
Kate Eddy doing so much work in that wing defence bib to keep her players pushed to the sideline. They'll swing the ball to Teague Neild, trying to again exploit that connection to Fowler. Wilkinson perhaps setting something up, or maybe she'll take the shot herself.
Yeah, once it started getting that close, even Fowler was sitting there going, I think it's yours, started turning away from it.
Another wall from the Fever. Mundy dicing through the mid, strong shoulder pass to get the ball down to that baseline. Very strong from the Vixens.
And if you're talking about a way of breaking up a wall and four sort of set up, Vixens did just that, straight up the middle and opened up a passage straight through the middle, saw it end up at the post. So that's fantastic finish.
It's Fowler giving away the penalty. Vixens getting this one for free. They've already broken the Fever once. And a strong hold from Garvin, although Dehaney's able to work her feet around.
Yeah, almost got clean hands on that, did Haney. Which has probably said a little bit about Garvin, I think, knew she hadn't quite given a clear enough setup for that. It brought Haney into it. Able to recover though. 11 goals to 8. A nice little 3-goal margin just over halfway through this first quarter.
It just goes to show when you watch Garvin, it's not about where your upper body's positioned in terms of hold, but in netball, it's actually about where your feet are. If you watch those feet, you can tell if she wants the ball or if she's not holding those feet and the upper body's still in line. Nah, you just can't pass it to her, but she makes no mistake there.
And the perpendicular angle was not particularly on. Starting to see a little bit more now here from Teague Neal, trying to get amongst it.
You talk about goal shooters wrestling for position. Fowler doing her best to push Rudy Ellis around.
And she's such a strong presence as a goal shooter, as we see Garvin with the lovely thing is Fowler. We've seen it not just for the Fever, but then at that next level internationally, we saw how well she did in that role, trying to help those Sunshine Girls through to, well, some great efforts there in the World Championships.
Brown resetting, Teague Neal. That two-handed pass from the transverse, it's such a low percentage, but she makes it an invincible pass selection every time. Mundy searching high and low, opting to go back. Again, Vixen's really using the one goaler out to lob it back into Austin. That siren signals 5 minutes to go in the quarter, so that means the super shot has been activated. If you're looking to shoot outside of that white semicircle for a long bomb, you can get 2 points.
And that's what the Fever are trying to do. You saw Fowler in that mid-range. Fantastic long shot though, Wilkinson. But Fowler was looking for that feed out, and they found it eventually through Wilkinson, and that is a terrific long shot.
Fever switching from a wall off their centre pass to now defensively playing man-on-man. So we'll see if that yields any extra ball. It's going to be Maloney keeping the ball alive.
And just a little skip step almost there from Austin. Out the back, recovered beautifully from Garvin.
Austin waving her hands under the post, saying, I'm free, but the strategic choice to take the super shot was made, and it was executed brilliantly.
Managing to keep that 4-goal margin, which is handy for the Vixens.
Ariang with the work in the back court. Teague Neal getting into the front half. Fowler.
Look at that sweep from Wilkinson. She timed that just superbly. She glided across the top of that circle to find herself for a 2-point shot. And a third attempt by the looks of it.
Not often that a rebound comes out with a bounce. But she read it perfectly just as she reads that shot. Fever down by 2, just over 3 minutes to go. Mundy convincing to the top of the circle. This 2-point shot, a favourite of the Vixens because they nail it almost every time. Brown under pressure off the centre pass until Fowler's by herself. Ellis just perhaps a little too much leg room.
And look at that quick take of the penalty there, Fowler, not even thinking of the shot. Releases straight away. That penalty's resulting in more shots now for the Fever.
Makes no mistake, does Liv Wilkinson.
And that's her third super shot of the quarter.
Very prolific, only 2.5 minutes down. And 2.5 to go with the super shot activation. Maloney using fakes. A Garvin long bomb. Looks
Stunning.
good. Fever trying to get some quick points on the board. Brown, you can see, trying to hustle her way to the ring. Teague Neal just offering wide options. Brown through the legs, she tries to keep it in, but Vixens read it faster. than any of Brown's teammates.
She did everything she could to try and keep it in. Just fortunate that Eddie's legs were open at the right time. But Vixens were able to keep it.
And decent fly. Decent fly from the Fever.
Yeah, disappointed with herself for that miss was Garvin, but recovers with the rebound. Beautiful. There was a great fly there prior to that.
Hannah Mundy with 2 rolls in the one play, as the ball's just too high for her and doing so much work, but just perhaps not the right type of work.
As we just see that one fly over the head again. Tough ball.
It's her 3rd season in the navy blue dress as a fully contracted player, Mundy, so no doubt still learning and developing. But how's that for a development for the Vixens? Such a beautifully read intercept by Rudy Ellis.
Yeah, she hedged that fantastically. Just showed that the commitment to the pass had already gone. She was able to do that because she would have been burnt at the post otherwise.
Awesome hedging from Sunday Ariang, making sure that these goalers are having to fight for every ball and perhaps come up with a rebound just like that one.
Yeah, it was a tough one, that's for sure. They're just trying to work it down slowly, or the Fever creating some. But Austin, this is what we know her for. She's going to be tenacious in defence just when you need her. I expect another set of hands pretty soon in it, forcing the long ball.
8 seconds to go, Fever. They take no time to get to the post. With one last goal before the siren. And there you have it. First term done. Vixens leading the Fever. 5 goals. Heading into quarter time. A nervous start from both teams, perhaps, Matt, but you get the sense they're coming into their own now.
It was a nervous start from both teams. There were a couple of loose feeds, and we probably saw a couple at the end as well, as maybe a bit of that first time playing this intensity, 15 minutes for a little while, has come in. Of note, though, was Liv Wilkinson, 3 beautiful super shots in that last 5 minutes, and Fowler doing everything she could to get the ball delivered there. Also, Sophie Garvin, 3 super shots to her name as well.
Some prolific shooting from both ends of the court. As we check out the highlights from this first quarter, some brilliant hands from Rudy Ellis against her old mob in the green dresses, West Coast Fever. But some equally exciting stuff down the goaling end for both teams.
Yeah, a couple of those first passages you saw were those nervous ones. That's the stunning goaler I think we're going to see this season from Garvin and Austin. And why, if you're a Vixens fan at home or here at the Ballarat Blitz, you should be getting excited about that goaling combination, because that will come together even better.
Of course, if you're coming down to the Ballarat Blitz, make sure that you check out the Vixens' new 2024 merchandise range. It's available to fans here at Selkirk Stadium and online at shop.melbournevixens.com.au. And no better place to get that merch out and out of the wardrobe and onto your body when you head down to the annual Fan Day, the Melbourne Vixens Fan Day at Federation Square on Thursday the 4th of April during the school holiday. So get to meet your favourite players for perhaps a little photograph, chat, and maybe even a photo. Watch that 2024 dress presentation. So lots of exciting stuff for Vixens fans. Make sure you pick up that membership whilst you're on the Vixens website and join the hunt in 2024. I have been really interested to see some pivotal matchups between players who potentially know each other, potentially don't. I want to point out the centre combinations, Matt, in Kate Maloney and Kelsey Brown. Who do you think is getting the better of that combination in the first 15 minutes?
It's hard to say, I would think, at the moment. We've seen a bit of the ball in Kelsey Brown's hands, and I think that's a bit to do with the pressure. We haven't seen it through Teague Neild as much as previously. But it's the style of Kate Maloney as a centre is she does let her wing attack do a lot of the work, and she's a defensive player. We know her as a wing defence as well, Maloney, and she really will grind and grind and grind. But she plays a role, so she's not always that flashy in what she does. Very traditional in that centre style with that.
Yeah, she's got a lot of spark in that mid-court, helped out by Hannah Mundy. As we've mentioned, she's been at the Vixens for 3 seasons now and really becoming that prolific feeder for them. Are you expecting to see anything differently from the Fever style of defence? Jess Anstis has been the player given the task of Hannah Mundy. Do you reckon they're going to try anything differently in this second term?
They would have started doing some research on knowing that Mundy was going to be who they're going up against. She's a different style player to Watson, who's spent so long in that wing attack bib. But make no mistake, Jess Anstis is such a seasoned player. She would know her opponents inside and out. And it'll be, if anything, it's just her making a slight adjustment to what she's doing. Mundy's finding circle edge with a bit of difficulty, and the connection is there with Austin, but just needs to be a little bit more committed on some of those drives and maybe not end up quite as wide.
Well, of course, Anstis has been named captain, the 27-year-old. So very exciting elevation in her 8th season at the Fever. She's been such a consistent player within the Fever lineup, and of course with a few notable outs. Courtney Bruce, of course, the captain previously, heading to Sunshine Coast Lightning.
Huge out for Fever, we must say.
Yeah, how have you rated the work of Katie Ann Dehaney in taking that goalkeeper bib?
Look, the first passage where she was on, and they were obviously making a conscious change for when the two-pointer came in. She made a terrific effort there, really strong. It is a tough player to come up against in a Garvin who can be quite deceptive in her own lead. Wasn't a bad start though, I would say, despite the score sitting at 4. It's just the 2 super shots.
As play is 30 seconds from getting underway, both teams back on court. Of course, we're here because of the support of the City of Ballarat and the Victorian Government. So plenty of action happening here at Ballarat all weekend. This is the second match of the Ballarat Blitz. 2 more tomorrow. So if you missed out on seeing the Vixens in person today, make sure you come over tomorrow. So they've got another huge matchup in the Thunderbirds. But let's focus on this one against the Fever. It's going to be the Vixens leading the Fever by 4 goals. Fever with the first centre pass. Fever having to work their way back. A lot of nerves, a lot of work being done to get the ball onto the ring, and there's the hold that they were waiting for. They just need Fowler to present, and when she commands it, they give it in.
She really does, and not surprising, the Vixens rotating through their defenders there. Rudy Ellis remains in that keeper bib, but M. Mannix having a run out at goal defence. Bit of a different style play to Western, but equally exciting in the keeper or goal defence bib.
Another switch, but on the Fever side of things, Kelsey Brown taking off the centre bib and giving it to the youngster in Jordan Kransberg. Brave hold. I love seeing a goaler go for a hold outside of the circle. It's unconventional.
And she's done a couple of them this game in different positions. It's obviously a game plan. It's obviously a setup they want to do to try and mix up and use the height advantage.
Mundy v Kransberg. A few pushes and shoves from both players. Just goes to show the gut running of all the mid-quarters. So physical out there.
And once again, we see some terrific elevation from Garvin. Manages to get up there every single time. It's such a good thing to see.
Mundy setting up deep, so she gets that second phase received right on the circle. Lovely roll. And so well read and supported by her teammates. Pearcing leads down the court from the Fever. Let's see how they get it in. Fowler with that hold again. Ooh.
It may have just been a little bit of step. We could see it obviously at this angle, but as the umpire is coming around that goal line, there was 3 or 4 players in the way of it. I think it might have been a sneaky hop. I'm willing to accept that it may have just been up onto the toes.
The jury is out. Matt Blomley, you're a good coach, you're a good player, and maybe a future in umpiring too.
May have had a pass there as well.
Fever, you see they go for the long shot, but given that we're only 12 minutes in, it's not going to count as a super shot. That's the last 5 minutes. Vixens not super happy with that connection, or lack thereof.
Yeah, I was just caught for that moment there. Austin on the body, trying to come through. If she hadn't have been caught, it would have been a superb finish to it.
Cransberg trying to cut 1-2 angles. Gets stuck up in no man's land. Goalers get it down with no issue.
I tell you what, I'm really appreciating the fact that Wilkinson is going to the post. It's taking attention away from Fowler. It's really making the accountability, in this case, of M. Mannix having to really work and work and work. And that is a tough one-on-one that then creates something when Fowler is on. I do believe we've seen the timeout called, the tactical timeout for the Vixens. Not the start they would have wanted, I'm guessing.
Not quite. M. Mannix just gesturing to the umpires that they'd like a bit of time to reset. Of course, these players have now 90 seconds to have a chat about what's going wrong. Matt Blomley, what would your feedback be if you were Coach Simone or perhaps one of those players in the leadership group dishing out advice?
Let's have a look at what the setups that FIBA are running. Wilkinson's doing a fair bit of the centre pass, which we did mention before. Really grind her out from, make her not get that first aspect of it. And then that next connection really work the advantage of the youngster Cransberg and really get big hands over, force the high ball. The other thing is, why are we playing such a tight one-on-one at the moment in that circle? Fowler knows how to body. We've seen it so often. Got to work a little bit harder there. But similarly, I imagine that Coach Dan Ryan is saying, hey guys, we've got to keep up the intensity. We've started coming back, but don't think this is just going to keep going. We're going to have to do the work.
The timeout so effective in providing a reset to both teams, but also perhaps stilting momentum if someone's gotten a few in a row. Vixens back on court. They've had their reset. Fever not far behind. Fever already trying to set up on the outside of their players, forcing them in. Mundy, she attacks, leaves a goal shooter at home by herself, but doesn't matter. The turnover's already been done.
And that was part of the setup. You could see it early. We're talking about the fact that they were trying to push them in on the inside. They were running a wall setup, and Katie and Dehaney did the exact right thing. She put pressure on that ball.
Goes to show that sometimes you can leave your player and go on the hunt, because even the mental pressure of knowing the Vixens have to execute that pass is enough for them to make blunders of their own accord.
And it just never seemed like a clear setup from the Vixens of what they wanted to run on that centre pass. If you're coming up against the like of the wall, try going wide every now and then, try running an overload, and you can see that they're starting to look at, this case, Garvin's trying to block out for the next one. But you could do something, and it's controversial, have Garvin come up to work a block.
We like controversial netball and a few unconventional setups.
And interestingly, we have seen a change there. Mundy's just come to have a seat, and it looks like Zara Walters has come on into wing attack bid. So maybe just giving Mundy a chance to just watch it for a moment, have a look, but also an exciting opportunity for this youngster.
Yeah, she's a product of Geelong, getting some valuable minutes in the Vixens dress and hopefully not learning from that errant ball, but instead Walters offering an opportunity to head it straight to the post. What a great start from the youngster.
Yeah, going on, giving a clear message of what to do. Pretty fearless player is Walters. Many who've grown up in that Geelong competition are. It's always been such a strong footy netball area across the GFL, Ballerine, and the GDFL.
You talk about strength. I'm loving the strength of Kate Maloney. She's really stepping up into that leadership role, marshalling the troops, providing a lot of feedback. So we'll see what the Vixens defensive line has in store.
Oh, it's pretty rare to hear her quiet on court, isn't it? With Maloney, you'll always hear that distinct voice of hers echoing throughout any stadium.
Selkirk in Ballarat, no different. As there's going to be a contact call The goalers looking at each other, not sure which one's out.
And not completely sure what happened either. The umpire having a clear view though and saying, this is what you did.
Fever needing the timing of their mid-court to get in sync. Sometimes where heads are turned and the lead is made, so it's not being seen and not being delivered.
When the Vixens are proactive in their defensive style, they're so good at the moment. When they're being a bit reactive, that's when their team to be struggling. Alice just getting caught out with the strong box out a bit too early. Fowler's so smart though.
Fever just holding on to the lead. Vixen's going to try draw it level again. Walter searching. Two-handed overhand to Maloney, the general, and that's a confident feed into Austin.
It looked good off the hand there, that one, Austin, but it does occasionally happen to her where the slight miss comes despite how good it looks. And Walter's just getting caught on the body, which is probably a bit of that reactiveness I was speaking about defensively before.
Ansys knowing exactly where to place her body to pull in those balls. Just as Fowler knows how to position hers for strong presence under the post. Fever happy to break that one, take the centre pass and the 2-goal lead. And under the post, all by herself. How's the draw from Teague? Defenders are occupied and such an easy feed under the post.
And also well done then on Janelle Fowler. Went to go for essentially a drive straight forward. Recognised the defenders had come around. Wilkinson also made a split to have to separate them out.
Maloney, brilliant stretch, catches that one.
They're the ones I'd love to see from Kira Austin go confidently back up to the shot to the post. You can really tell when she's missed that one, and we've seen it for Australia as well, where she'll look to offload for a couple. Not necessarily a bad thing, but the confidence of going to post. Kate Eddy, fantastic hands. Just really puts doubt in the mind then of the defenders.
Absolutely, and Kate Eddy, she's got some of the longest arms in the competition, just so deceptive, but it doesn't matter because the feed-in was a little wasteful. Fever with great arms in return. Teague Nield searching, goes underhand, under the arms, the long arms of Kate Eddy. And Vixens fans are stoked with that call.
They should be stoked with that call as well. It was such a strong defensive effort and strong rebound attempt on a rare miss from the Fever.
Austin, she's short of options and it takes up all 3 seconds. Ball's turned over. Unlucky for her to be pinned given her teammates were the ones not offering her too much.
That is where Fever have done quite well. They're pushing into contests. They're pushing in, making the space not be there. It is terrific defensive effort.
Terrific defence indeed from Rudy Ellis. Tries to fly and, gosh, you've just got to have a crack when you're up against a stalwart like Janelle Fowler. It's great to see that she is just trying to have a fly.
And the fly is the exact word that I was thinking about earlier, that the Vixens probably are known for their really tenacious defence, not often having too many flyers at the ball. We need to see a couple more of those, especially against the likes of a Fever, where the opportunity's coming up high. And that's why Alice has been recruited by the Vixens, to be a flyer. We need to see more of that from her.
Entry Matt Plumley. Fever have called the timeout. They go straight away to their coach, but the Vixens congregate as a playing team first. No need for any coaches, but instead Kate Maloney providing the advice. Why do you think they might have made that decision, the Vixens?
I think it's the chance for them to go, guys, this is our message. We're going to hear from the coach what she then wants us to. This is, you need to switch on. And sometimes you just need to listen to your captain. The captain is your voice out on court. And I mean, you really do listen.
Different voices and impactful voices. Sometimes even the newest players on the team. In the Fever timeout,
That's a great point you make about some of those younger players as well. It doesn't matter how experienced you are, you can always learn something from someone new. And also, different eyes notice different things.
We'll see what the Vixens have noticed and chosen to implement now, as they've just heading up a 3-goal deficit at this stage.
And we've seen Mundy return into the wing attack bib, probably to create a settled lineup for the newly put on Emily Andrew, State League player here at VNL for Southern Saints, been prolific in goals and getting the opportunity with the Vixens. Possibly an audition for her.
Yep, as we'll hear the Power 5 sirens, so get that super shot up if you want that 2-pointer.
And we saw the way that the Fever really worked well. We're getting Wilkinson out for those 2-pointers, but equally Garvin, so good. It was 3 apiece for each of those in the first quarter.
Rudy Ellis again, trying to have a go, working the feet of Fowler. Fowler's unable to get a solid hold, and again, Ellis trying to confuse space. She's doing a great job of trying to put pressure on those external feeders.
And just after a couple of play arounds there, really indicating let's just secure the one. We've got the next centre pass anyway. We can go for 2 again. Oh, those hands.
Making instant impact, she is, Andrew. Really long arms, great reach, already sweeping down the baseline, wanting to get stuck in that goal attack bib.
And that plat came flying through. Love to see it. Very traditional netball plat, that one.
And a great feed. She's rewarded with the assist. Vixens 3 down, 3 minutes to go.
Something everyone loves to see is when a goal attack plays defence, but not just when they play defence, but when they come flying through.
That's right, it doesn't happen all too often, so I think the goal attacks will be reminding everybody. Emily Andrew probably letting her friends and family know for the next few months that...
Look at that intercept. We've both known goal attacks that will let everyone know about that one intercept they took once.
Here we go, lining up for the super shot.
It's a little bit short. The pressure from Fever is so good over this shot at the moment. They're forcing the change in the action. In that case, the Andrew forcing her into slightly higher and sitting back into it. And before that, forcing Garvin into a flatter shot.
You can see half the Fever bench just on their feet, trying to provide that extra pressure, be the 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th players off the court. Vixens opting to bring 5 onto the bench. Fever only 4 today. And Rudy Ellis, she's been rewarded. After 3 cracks, she finally gets the reward. Vixens happy with that.
2-on-1 opportunity here. Still looking for the 2-pointer though, Vixens. Bit too strong in the box there, but Emily Andrew, fantastic on the 2-pointer. The crowd is so happy with that.
Just as they're happy with the ball going straight back into the hands of Ellis. Fever coughing that one up themselves.
The Fever, quick transition into defence and then really clogging up space again. Mundy saw it, just put a bit too much heat on it. Garvin was ready, but unable to just get hands to it.
Almost. Fever's going to take the ball and the hustle. Mannix. She's a crowd favourite, and it's not hard to see why.
She just goes and throws an arm in and just determined. That's what we love about her. You saw it in the play before that as well. But if in doubt, throw an arm out, getting hands. Shout out to M. Mannix. Another Geelong product when we're talking about people originally from that area.
Fever trying to time an intercept there, doesn't work out. Vixens are stoked to draw this one 29 apiece, 1 minute remaining. Mundy, great take on the ring, plays the triangle, so patient to get the ball back to Andrew in the super shot zone.
Fantastic shot from her. Giving the Vixens the brief lead of 2 goals. There is still 40 seconds to go in this quarter.
Teague kneeled. She's quick to feed the ball in, but they find a secure option in Fowler under the post.
And Mannix trying to get out of the way. Fowler just helping her on the way a little bit with the ball. So we see her that brief miss.
15 seconds to go. Eddie to Mundy. Mundy to Maloney. There may be a stray goaler at the baseline. Garvin waving her hands. Doesn't matter. Andrew backs herself for the pass.
And plenty of time. People going, shoot it, shoot it. There was 3 seconds to go. Heaps of time for that extra goal from the Vixens.
The Vixens will be happy with that 1-goal lead heading into half-time. They're no stranger to a 1-goal lead over the Fever, having done the same thing in round 8 last year. We'll see if they have a similar result as we check out the highlights from this first half. Matt Blomley, what are you seeing?
What a terrific first half that was, as we see the great hands there from Kate Eddy. She's been relatively quiet in that wing defence position. That was a great opportunity we wanted from her. And the Fever have been very good as well. Vixens making a couple of changes there, trying out a couple of things. As we just see Eddie involved once again, but it was the highlight for me was Emily Andrew on that flying intercept.
We've got to call out the goal attacks doing the defensive work and getting those intercepts. They are so hard to come by, and no doubt reminding all attackers of how hard they are. You really need to treasure them when you get one.
And it does make such a difference. Even if they don't get the intercept there as a goal attack, just the pressure that it puts on, and you talk about building pressure in teams, building the defensive effort, and that's what then results in the ball coming down the court.
Of course, we're here at the Ballarat Blitz ahead of the Suncorp Super Netball season, which kicks off on Saturday the 13th of April. The Vixens will be taking on the Melbourne Mavericks in round 1, their first ever derby on the 14th of April. So if you want to grab tickets to that one and tickets to all Vixens home games, they are on sale. Head to melbournevixens.com.au or Ticketek to book those ones. And make sure you head down as well to the annual Fan Day at Federation Square on Thursday the 4th of April, where you can meet the players and perhaps grab a photo, grab an autograph. Matt Blomley, would there be a particular player you'd hope to get an autograph from at Fan Day?
So Garvin. I think she's an absolute trooper. Let's get her autograph up here. And look, wouldn't mind a few of the others as well. Let's get amongst the Mannix and Kira Austin, as I said before, been my commentary buddies before.
Well, we'll make sure that we flag those players down and get some autographs. But for now, we're going to take a quick break. Plenty more action in the second half, where the Vixens have got a slight lead over the Fever.
The Backstoppers have hit the road.
We're in Ballarat today to visit some of the region's best local gems thanks to the City of Ballarat.
First stop, Sovereign Hill. Let's go!
Sovereign Hill is a living museum that tells the story of Ballarat's history as a gold rush town. This is no ordinary museum though. You can dress up as a gold rush character from the Victorian era at the 1850s photography studio.
Alright, I was dressed up with something.
Oh, you were too, yeah.
We had a family one.
You have to try the iconic raspberry drops handcrafted at the sweet shop. You can even experience panning for gold on the diggings.
Alrighty, so I think we've worked up a bit of an appetite.
Yeah, I'm hungry. I'm hungry.
Should we head into town? Alrighty, we're all fueled up. We've had our lunch at Higher Society. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was great.
Very delicious. Now we're here at the Wildlife Park in Ballarat to check out some animals. The park is home to everything from kangaroos, koalas, wombats and emus to snakes, crocs, frogs and lizards.
The park was founded on a passion for conservation. The presentations and experience here are an amazing way to learn and immerse yourself in the animal world. The park is absolutely beautiful, and you can feel the love and care the staff have for all of the wildlife here.
That's it for us today in Ballarat, but there's so much more to do here.
Thank you so much to the City of Ballarat for letting us explore some of your hotspots and letting us show some of our Vixens fans what your town has to offer.
Well, that one's being very cheeky. Make sure you head to visit ballarat.com.au to start planning your trip today.
The Get Active Victoria app is an easy way to step into everyday activity with videos on yoga, dance, low impact and more. Set your own goals and track your progress. Download the free Get Active Victoria app today.
Everyone in the crowd, let's clap like Dennis Lee's at the top of his mark. Tony, this is for you. You don't even look like you care. I want like that. Yeah, that's a guy. Then you would have really got a prize. You would have got a gold. We would have taken you out to the village. You can have anything you want. Hey, you look like you need to clap. Can we get the clap going again?
The backstoppers have hit the road.
We're in Ballarat today to visit some of the region's best local gems thanks to the City of Ballarat.
First stop, Sovereign Hill. Let's go!
Sovereign Hill is a living museum that tells the story of Ballarat's history as a gold rush town. This is no ordinary museum though. You can dress up as a gold rush character from the Victorian era at the 1850s photography studio.
Alright, I was dressed up with something.
Oh, you were too, yeah.
We had a family one.
You have to try the iconic raspberry drops handcrafted at the sweet shop. You can even experience panning for gold on the diggings.
Alrighty, so I think we've worked up a bit of an appetite.
Yeah, I'm hungry. I'm hungry.
Should we head into town? Alrighty, we're all fueled up. We've had our lunch at Higher Society. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was great.
Very delicious. Now we're here at the Wildlife Park in Ballarat to check out some animals. The park is home to everything from kangaroos, koalas, wombats and emus to snakes, crocs, frogs and lizards.
The park was founded on a passion for conservation. The presentations and experience here are an amazing way to learn and immerse yourself in the animal world. The park is absolutely beautiful, and you can feel the love and care the staff have for all of the wildlife here.
That's it for us today in Ballarat, but there's so much more to do here.
Thank you so much to the City of Ballarat for letting us explore some of your hotspots and letting us show some of our Vixens fans what your town has to offer.
Well, that one's being very cheeky. Make sure you head to visit ballarat.com.au to start planning your trip today.
The Get Active Victoria app is an easy way to step into everyday activity with videos on yoga, dance, low impact and more. Set your own goals and track your progress. Download the free Get Active Victoria app today.
Well, one half down and one half to go. It is the Melbourne Vixens with a slight lead, 2 goals over the West Coast Fever. My name's Hannah Kuha. Joining me, Matt Blomley. Matt, some really impressive netball, but also very impressive support from the Vixens fans in the stands.
Oh, haven't they been loud? Anytime the Vixens are up and about, so is this crowd. Very passionate supporters are the people of Ballarat and Western Districts. And I can say that as someone, being a local myself, been back living here now for about 6 months, and at my local stadium, as we see a little bit of play from the halftime show. Needed a little bit of help to win the prize there.
Of course, you're up with the Wadawurrung Bombers this year. How's the pre-season shaping up for you guys?
Look, it hasn't been too bad. A couple of changes from our side from last year. A couple of new faces, and unfortunately, one of our main players has moved into state, which is a shame. But look, they're a great club to be a part of, and I'm very much looking forward to what this season brings.
So many people are looking forward to what the season brings, and of course it kicks off on the 13th of April. That's a Saturday for all of you fans heading down to the Vixens and Melbourne Mavericks match. That's on Sunday the 14th of April. So make sure you get those tickets. They're flying out the door from melbournevixens.com.au or Ticketek to book. And of course we're here this weekend because of the support of the City of Ballarat and the Victorian Government. So if you're keen to head down, come visit us. We're here all weekend. Of course, the Vixens will go again tomorrow afternoon, 1 p.m. against the Thunderbirds. And before that, 11 a.m. Giants and Fever. Of course, Fever, they've got some work to do with this half remaining. Matt, what are your thoughts on their performance so far as a team who's pretty new with a lot of ins and outs?
Yeah, they are a new side when you think about a couple of the players that come into that Vixen side. And that what makes it more impressive is how those combinations have started to come together. That it was still a 16-goal first quarter from them, with some great 2-point super shots from Olivia Wilkinson. And we have seen an unchanged goaling lineup for that first half, and then produced out to 30 as the scoreline at half-time, 32 for the Vixens. You'd say that's a pretty good half from them. We do see regular high score lines from the Fever. They can go and score quickly, but make no mistake, the Vixens are someone who are determined. They've run a couple of different combinations here. They've tried a couple of different things out, and whilst there's been some minor issues there, they're stamping them out pretty quickly.
Absolutely. You talk about excitement out of the Vixens. Zara Walters donning the navy blue dress. She's a youngster from Colac. She's previously played for the Australian under-21s team last year, earning the call-up from Colac, of all places. Some great Victorian talent. And of course some others. Kira Austin, she came across from the Giants in 2021, her 3rd season at the Vixens, and hasn't she been strong under the post?
Oh, hasn't she just? And I don't think she's looked back since she moved across into the navy blue dress, and we will claim her as a Victorian quite happily. Such a solid player, creates so much with her passing, but we were talking about goal attacks who put defensive efforts in. Kira Austin is one of those players who you can never write off, because she'll come up with a few intercepts at crucial times every single match.
That's right. Close your ears, people of Chatswood, New South Wales. Matt Blomley has claimed Kira Austin as a Victorian now. 2 minutes to go until the 3rd quarter. 2 goals in advance for the Vixens. They have that 2-goal advantage over the Fever. Coach Dan Ryan has brought the troops in for a tight hands-in. What last feedback would you be giving to the Fever?
Stick to what we've been doing well. Let's keep working on a couple of things. Our spatial defence has been great. Now let's pick up our one-on-one. In terms of attack, we work best when we're going direct. Allow the chance for the separation to occur, then look in post once again. Defensively, have a fly at it.
Oh, he clearly didn't want to say all of those nuggets of wisdom, because they've had their hands in with a minute 30 still on the clock, and I love this informal arrangement. They just break into a bit of chatter amongst themselves. Bit of a premature hands in, but maybe that was a deliberate choice.
Yeah, that's the thing with the halftime of Suncorp Super Netball matches, and including these practice matches here at the Ballarat Blitz, is they get a long halftime. So the messages have all come across already. It's just a couple of key things re-emphasised. No need to go back through the whole book. but we do because we're up here in commentary and we've got to make sure we're saying what they've said at the halftime break.
Well, perhaps Fever just wanted that second hands in, which they've taken all with a smile on their faces. I think they realised they went a little early. Still 30 seconds on the clock. Looks like we might have, is that Kelsey Brown back into the centre bib, warming herself up with some hops?
Yeah, just strengthening up that ACL that so many players have suffered from before, making sure that is spot on.
She was substituted for Jordan Cransberg, who's headed back to the bench. So we'll see what Kelsey Brown does in her first season as a West Coast Fever player.
Now, I've seen a couple of changes there as well in the attack line, which will be interesting to see how this plays out for the Fever.
Brown's new matchup is Hannah Mundy, who was previously playing a little bit of wing attack for the Vixens. Joe Weston coming back onto goal defence.
And one of the smallest goalers going around for the Fever. What an exciting combination this will be to see Beckford in for one of the early attempts after getting her contract with Fever this year.
Easy days for the Vixens, converting early, still maintaining that 2-goal lead. Fever want to keep that centre pass and using Fowler outside of the circle. It's unconventional, but it'll get the job done anyway. And how's that sides matchup? You called it early, Matt.
And it's something that people take for granted a little bit. Sometimes a short goaler can really mess up the defenders' heads. They're so used to playing against other talls nowadays that a short one can just lose them for that moment. But we do have a nice little change up through the mid-court here for Vixens as well. Maloney in a position she's certainly not unfamiliar with in wing defence gives Hannah Mundy the chance at centre and Walters another opportunity in that wing attack bib.
Really feels like the changing of the guard is underway at the Vixens with this new look, very young mid-court.
Yeah, it really does feel like a change in the guard. And this combination can really come together well. You know that is a future for this side.
No doubt Aussie Diamonds selectors keeping their eyes on all of these players. It might be SSM pre-season, but people are always watching. How's the hands over pressure? Hey, I actually didn't mind the double hand.
This is the thing as a defender. Sometimes go one hand, sometimes go two. We haven't necessarily seen a lot of jumps over the shot. I would like to see a slight more variation from both sides, but that two-handed pressure really did put doubt in the mind there.
Brown adjusting to the centre bib. See her eyes looking around to see where's my wing attack going to go. Still Alice Teague-Neeld, such a consistent pillar of strength for the Fever.
And the usual dynamic, obviously, in netball is the wing attack making the first drive, the centre reading off, and as you say, his backup option. Fantastic pass in, not quite. You could see the slight shrug of the shoulder down there from Garvin.
Yeah, Austin just needing a better pass in, but such a great drive and what a clever idea. Teague-Neeld takes the right-hand channel. Brown to Fowler. Fowler stepping in, but she's got that much height, it doesn't really matter.
She does that so well. We've seen it time and time again where you think, how is she not off balance? How the defender's got their hand right in her face and she still sinks a shot.
Using all of that height, just as Joe Weston does, providing an option in goal defence, a continual reset. Her hands on the ball twice in this passage. Mundy, quick feed.
I do get worried sometimes when Joe Weston gets that wind up happening, that she's committed so much to bringing it so far back that she forgets to just give the little offload.
Brown.
Such a strong one-handed pass though.
Such a strong pass there too from Brown into Fowler. Fowler, very uncharacteristic miss. She doesn't do it very often.
But look at this defensive effort. She's tried taking up space straight away. Didn't dwell on it at all, just straight into it, trying to reward the team.
Talk about the Western wind-up. She goes across the court. Looked like Fever had almost read that, but no one in the right position to cut it off.
We should trademark that and make that something for her. The Western wind-up. I think that is fantastic.
She's already got about 16 podcasts, I reckon.
Add it to it.
Joe Weston, definitely a fan favourite of everyone here at the Ballarat Blitz.
And Wadawurrung just out at the wing fence position, just caught there briefly.
Brown hurrying into the circle. Teague Neild offering very wide before a drive down the pocket. It serves as a decoy. Fowler one-on-one. She'll win that every time. And a second miss.
I was about to comment the exact same thing, saying a rare thing where we've seen a couple of misses in a row from Fowler. Just needs that confidence back, which is not something you'd say she would normally lack. But the Vixens now push this out to 5 at the 10-minute mark of the third quarter.
Beautiful delivery from Mundy. You wonder whether Fever might be calling perhaps a timeout shortly. They've got one up their sleeve. Ball on extension. Well, that's a nice pull in. Austin, perfect positioning for the rebound. Mid-range, she's comfortable.
She manages to look so relaxed on her release of a shot, which, unsure whether sometimes it's confidence or just her natural nature. Oh, little beautiful offload. Oh, and the quick 1-2 as well.
Fowler, she has so many tricks up her sleeve. I hate it when people dismiss her as just a tall body, but you see with the ball work, she's got so many different talents.
You can't just be a tall body these days, as Katie Ann Dehaney just flies at the perfect time, read it for days, and gives Fever the opportunity to transition down.
Brown, she establishes the connection with Fowler. It's going to be a prolific one this year. Fowler, she makes good. And all the accolades go to Dehaney on that one. How well read was that?
Fantastic. Perfect keeper thing. And she is really saying, I need to be a starter now.
As Walters just gets caught up in the ball. Gives away a contact call. Brown, now she's got her eye in with Fowler, delivering it exactly where she wants. This is going to be a strong connection and one that's going to be pivotal to the success of Fever.
And it's terrific to see that the Fever have now got this other option there. Knowing how well Wilkinson's already teamed up there with Fowler, the question obviously is if something, God forbid, happened to Fowler, what they would do. But I think that's a question for many sides. What do you do with someone like Janelle Fowler?
Unfortunately, tall goalers don't grow on trees.
You cannot teach tall either.
But let's hope that's not an issue for the Fever, because it's definitely not an issue for them now. Just the placement in. It's probably the number one cause for concern. But Teague Neild gets that one in. Fowler converts. Mundy has to look around. Walters.
Traditional triangle, pocket top, straight into a goaler there. That is a training drill set up and fantastically executed.
Fever having to take more time. Walters trying to be a presence in defence. Great asset of any wing attack. Teague Neild to take the penalty further up the court, and how good's having a decoy out the front for the small goaler to do the work out the back.
And that's a tough ball to give. Make no mistake, when you've got such a tall person in the screen set up, screening that backspace beautifully, to be able to execute the right flight on it, that was perfectly done, Kelsey Brown.
Mundy, awesome work splitting the Fever defence.
Yeah, it looks slightly off on that release, a bit of a lean in on it, but finishes beautifully, Garvin.
You see the value of that deep breath. She suck in a deep one, let it out, and really balance herself.
And we've seen her really come into her own this last couple of years, and we've spoken about that with some other players, obviously. But Garvin, when she's got confidence, she's so good. And a lot of people dismissed her as a goal attack last year. She did so well there in terms of her movement and what she creates. Gets to spend a little bit more time back at shooter now for the excitement that is Austin out front.
Mannix calls for the reset at goalkeeper, but the mid-quarters figure it out for themselves. Mundy, head fake. Do you reckon she learnt that trick off her mum, Shelley O'Donnell?
I reckon she's learned a few aspects of the wing attack and centre from her mother. Shelley obviously been a Melbourne Kestrels player for a long time and Australian Diamond stalwart.
Vixens fans really enjoying that previous play. Wadawurrung ended up on the floor, but now it's the Fever who are going to use that timeout. We wondered why it didn't happen sooner, but they're using it on the 5-minute mark. Can they claw back 5 goals in 5 minutes, Matt Blomley?
Absolutely they can. We know that they can. They've done it before. And we're about to be heading into that 2-minute that 2-goal period for the super shot. They're going to be able to put that on pretty easily. Only 30 seconds away from that. So that might be part of this message is we're making the change now, 30 seconds to go with that. They can find that. They've got Janelle Fowler, just needs a bit of a breath and maybe relax to get her eye back in. But they can score so quickly. Release into her. It is absolutely nothing as a margin, this 5 goals.
Absolutely. So once we hit that 5-minute mark, you'll hear the siren. It's not the end of the quarter, rather the power 5, and we'll look to score via the super shot potentially. Fever happy to use that one, but potentially the Vixens even more so. They love extending a lead and they love using the super shot. How do you think they're going to use the strategy of the 2-point play now that they've got a lead, and a considerable one at that?
It's considerable in 5 goals, but that can be whittled down so quickly. They'll want to be sinking at least 2 or 3 of the super shots in this period of time, but also find themselves go to post wherever possible. Look for the split sort of setup, but they'll be going wide to try and open up that.
We'll see what they do, because wing attack is now Kelsey Brown in her home position. Teague Neal subbed off. Vixens searching for options around the transverse. They've got all mid-quarters and all defenders at the line. Mundy trying to roll out of trouble.
And also trying to roll out there with both Austin and Garvin, managing to almost open up something. Look at a little bounce off screen. Austin wants this. Siren almost puts her off for that 2-point power 5.
Wadawurrung down the middle. Brown very high in the mid-third, but she gets depth. Wonderful connection, and the ball just lopped up to Fowler. It's very easy to take, but a third miss of the day.
And Fowler going, I'm going to sink this one. We need to sink these 1-pointers as well. Let's just get it down, which I never think is a bad thing, especially off a turnover, is convert, then maybe the 2-pointer off your centre pass to follow.
Will she look to feed it? Yeah, she tries to go for the second attempt at a super shot. And how's that wrestle for the rebound? Got to love shooters taking an active position to try and take the rebound ahead of M. Mannix.
Yeah, really strong take and such pressure on that with M. Mannix and Joe Weston attempting the ball. Then Weston really put the pressure on Beckford, forcing her to put up the long shot earlier.
Walter looks to feed the post, decides it's too risky, uses a more conservative option, and it's going to pay off via the positioning now, Vixens. As our expert Matt Blomling said, they'll still take the super shot even though they've got a lead. It's just not enough to rest on your laurels, and that's not what they're doing here. They're stretching it out back to 5 goals. Vixens fans really happy with the result.
And Fever will look for the 2-pointer here. But are they as confident with Beckford on the 2-pointer as opposed to Wilkinson would be the question. But there is someone who can sink a 2-point shot. Doesn't do it all that often, but Fowler can do it. And I think sometimes her action becomes a bit more fluid when she's shooting that slight longer one. And it gives her more confidence for the next couple of short options.
Weston setting up this play with her wind-up. Almost telling her players, you're going to get the ball here, and this is how the play is going to look. But she wouldn't be happy with the finish on that, unfortunately, over the baseline. Fever to practice their baseline throw in, something they would have done at training 10,000 times.
And there was such a strong box out then from Fran Williams that really put the pressure on. Vixens weren't able to come up with a rebound on that missed shot.
Brown overlooking Beckford, instead Fowler at the post.
45-43. All of a sudden it's back to 2 goals with the centre pass for the Fever.
Fever trying to get over that transverse line. Vixen's doing an excellent job of putting the pressure up. Perhaps to support M. Mannix down there in goalkeeper and Joe Weston, because they've got such a task on Fowler.
Beautiful shot. And that's some confidence that you do want from Beckford. And look, Brown gets up and about with her. Obviously they know that she can do it. It's just whether the confidence was there elsewhere. Beautiful strong take from Mundy.
Walters, patient reset. Mundy, such speed, such pace. And such confidence from the Vixens.
Katie Ann Zahaney had such good hands over that shot, but the finish from Garvin was superb.
Fowler setting up some awesome screens, getting Beckford into the play, choosing to dish it back out. Beckford from the same spot as she was about 10 seconds ago.
Not as fluid on her action for that one. And might as well go for the 2-pointer from there, because you know you're going to have a strong rebound.
And when you're undefended, both players having to stand beside you. It's a good start. 50 seconds to go.
And look at that flood from Fever. Right down, they were absolutely aligned. They had the wall happening. But Vixen's finding a way through.
Confidence from Walters to deliver that ball. Even though they're going to look for the super shot, the youngsters should be happy with that. It's flat, but it's in.
It was flat, but it was beautiful. Had just enough of the arc on it, and they're just trying to slow it up enough to force the Fever into some kind of shot here, but don't want it coming back. Trying to get a turnover.
15 seconds at the transverse, and what a take from Beckford. She might be small, but how's the muscle on her? Finds the super shot zone straight away. Falls short again, but what a great rebound from Fowler. 1 point, you'll take that. And it's going to be Vixens heading into three-quarter time again with a 2-goal margin. It's been neck and neck all term, and the premiership quarter's now done. What are your thoughts of what we've just seen, Matt Blomley?
I thought it was very exciting seeing Beckford putting up those couple of 2-point shots, especially once you could see her shoot with a bit more confidence. Fowler really started to find timing when she put up her own 2-point. Vixens struggled a little bit on a couple of the drives through the court, I think. Just some of their timing started to fall out a little bit, but some of that came down to the pressure that Fever Star put on, like that one near the end where they flooded absolutely down. They had the arms and the voices, and they started trying to cause a turnover.
Really interesting move to bring Kelsey Brown back into wing attack. We know Alice Teague-Nield has that position covered, and she has had it covered for a long time. Do you reckon we're going to see that combo of Brown in wing attack more frequently? Is that position somewhat up for grabs?
You would think after last year, no, Teague-Nield really made it her own. However, when you've got a Kelsey Brown there, it's a bit hard to overlook the way she plays in wing attack.
Perhaps the opportunities in that centre bib, and who will take that one. The question's out there. As the fans are on their feet, we've got a bit of a dance zone. It's clear Taylor Swift has made an impression of the people of the MCG, but let's chat about the people of Ballarat. They're definitely getting around the T-Swizzle here.
They are up and about. People are out of their chairs supporting a couple of youngsters at the three-quarter time show, that is for sure.
What a fantastic energy here, and of course this weekend is made possible by the support of the City of Ballarat and the Victorian Government. So if you're going to come down tomorrow, get your tickets ASAP, because today was a sellout, tomorrow's looking the same. And of course, if you're going to head to Sydney next week, Super Netball's pre-season tournament, the Team Girls Cup, is taking place next weekend. Vixens fans, if you're staying at home, you can watch every game live on Foxtel and KO. And you can also head down to the Vixens annual fan day at Federation Square on Thursday, the 4th of April. During the school holidays, plenty of face painting, food trucks and activities for kids of all ages. No doubt a bit more Taylor Swift and a few more dance moves. But Matt Blomley, whose moves have you been most impressed by in the third, or perhaps wanting more of in the fourth?
Look, moves that I've been impressed by. Sunday Ariang's been so solid there that quarter in the wing defence position. We know that she's played there a few times with the Diamonds, and nice to see her float in and out of that circle. Great hands from Katie Antonini. Just maybe a little bit of variation over the shot would help. But I think what I want to see a little bit more of is Jo Weston. If you're going to be putting pressure over the likes of Beckford shot, let's put some variation on it. She is a shorter goaler. This gives you an opportunity to really get over it and mix up what you could do in. Maybe one of them goes on the jump, one of them's down. But at the moment, we're just playing the one-on-one, and I'm not sure it's always working.
Oh, you speak of the one-on-one. What I've enjoyed watching is Fever just shaking things up sometimes, shaking things off sometimes. You could have laughed, that's okay. I'll keep moving.
It wasn't swift enough for me.
Oh, there we go. Matt Blomley, he's a coach, player, and now wordsmith extraordinaire. Dan Ryan split his side into team groups, into positional groups. The Vixens are staying with the one chap, although I think all players starting to relax into the pace of play. Of course, this has been probably their biggest hit out so far. Vixens having headed over to New Zealand for some practice matches, but the Fever, they actually went up to Port Hedland in WA, and they took the WA men's team with them. They had a scratchy up there, which is fantastic to see netball getting out to regional areas such as the City of Ballarat here. But they also played the Melbourne Mavericks on Thursday. Any thoughts on how the Mavericks are going to slot into the competition, and especially in building this Victorian derby?
It'll be very interesting indeed seeing what the Mavericks will do. We've got some brand new faces come to Victoria, including some people like Amy Parmenter that we said about earlier. Such a strong wing defence. And then you've got some regular Victorian faces who've come through the pathways like a Molly Jovic. I think it's going to create something very special down there. They're obviously trying to build a culture from day one with it. They've got the support, they're getting out to the community. The other thing that will be interesting is, what are we going to name the battle each time the Mavericks and our very own Vixens come up against each other?
Well, that is the question for all the other fellow wordsmiths out there. If you are keen to head through that match, whatever it's called, it'll be on Sunday the 14th of April, so get those tickets via melbournevixens.com.au or on Ticketek. You can grab those too, as well as your Vixens membership, which are on sale now. We're heading into the fourth term here from Ballarat. My name's Hannah Kuhar, Matt Blomley, the expert of the day. Vixens, 1-goal lead. We'll see how this one shapes up. Vixens with the centre.
And we see Kate Eddy in the goal defence bib. One she doesn't wear as regularly anymore, but certainly was during the underage pathway. Spent a lot of time in goal defence and goalkeeper. And sees Jo Weston out at wing defence, just mixing it up a little bit with one of the other combinations. But it's good to see Emily Andrew back out on court as well for the Vixens. Sorry, not Emily Andrew. My mistake.
Well, you know who also just made a little boo-boo is Jo Weston. She just fed the ball straight back to the Fever. You can see her wincing on that. Might take her some time to settle in, but she is an Aussie diamond. She knows how to take command of the court. Cross-court ball now. Vixens with pace. Fever, I'm liking the box that they're setting up, getting the chat up, even if the ball's going to sail over the heads of the defenders.
And how clear was that hold there? It was so clear where it wanted to give it to me, and Garvin received and converted.
Kransberg back into centre for Fever, taking the ball just off the ring. Doesn't matter when you've got Fowler with such a strong hold and split step on that.
They've worked the mid-court changes reasonably well here at the Fever, given a few options, seeing which one's going to work. Oh, what a take, Garvin. It was an ambitious feed, just enough on it from Waters with that left wind-up, but Garvin knew that it was coming and wanted it and ripped it in.
Which you have to do when you're in a Fever sandwich, left and right. Such a great take. Equally exciting ball. Fever trying to create opportunities of their own, all players in the middle channel. Eddie with a giggle.
You see her go, oh, that's right, I'm not allowed to do that.
But she'll have a crack anyway, and she'll try and get away with it, and good on her for doing so.
She's certainly been a player that's always not been afraid to have a crack. Oh, what a take.
Western again, just letting an undisciplined ball go straight into the hands of Fever. Perhaps the finesse or the pass selection just needing to improve. 2 stray balls in the last 3 minutes.
And it's been on that slight aggressive wind-up that hasn't gone to plan. It is always curious seeing Western out in wing defence. It's an interesting option. I think they're gone for the height up against Teague Neal.
And also the fact that it is pre-season and you can throw these options out here. The wins and losses don't count on the
Correct.
SSN table. We're not playing for sheep stations, as people say here today. We're just playing for combinations and to understand what looks good. And just as Fever have done that play there, looking pretty good until the umpire doesn't agree.
Yeah, it's Katie and Amy up on the bench. She's so backing up each of her other defenders there. She's so excited for them on that attempt.
Awesome culture building at Fever. Been a strong culture for a long time, but the injection of 5 new players is really exciting things. And now we draw level, 11 minutes to go in the 4th.
And a bit of a different setup there from the Fever, opting to give the wing attack the solo line.
Kransberg wants the give and go. They'll use Teague Neal anyway. Fowler with the arms up, but that's the distraction.
Pass off the ring almost there from Beckford. You can see the little smirk on their face. She knows she's got Fowler to back her up at any point.
Maloney trying to find an option, lucky to find one on that 3rd second. Garvin.
And this connection's really coming together with Walters and Garvin. They're finding each other really easily.
10 minutes to go in the 4th. We're neck and neck. Kransberg searching for options. Fowler is the one she finds. Steps in. I love that. She's tall enough, but if she can get some extra distance, she takes it anyway.
And how many times do you tell goalers not to necessarily step into the arms, but she's someone who can get away with it? I'd say 80 out of 90 times.
What an electric pass. Goaler-to-goaler connection is building nicely at the Vixens. Awesome ball from Garvin.
Yeah, it was awesome as Graham finishes that one off as the person wearing the goal attack bib for this quarter.
Teague Neal, she's squashed for the triangle, goes really wide and gets the ball back. Very clever use of all the space. Again, Fowler with the step in, but M. Mannix just looking like a little tiny ant.
In comparison, I think Mannix would have minded a little bit of support there from Eddie to just come step in. I don't think that was going to get offloaded out to Beckford. There's a fantastic connection again. You can see Maloney there talking to Walters, going, this is what we need to keep doing. A lot of communication going on there from the experienced head and captain in Maloney.
You talk about experience. That ball is so deceptively hard to give. She's on the run, giving it off and giving direction at the same time.
Could talk underwater, I think, Kate Maloney, and probably has.
Fever persevering with the wall. They've got their 3 players out. Want to send goalkeeper for the fly, but not on that play. So much work being done by Ariang. And Garman too strong under the post. How's the snatch back?
I don't mind that every now and then from a goaler actually just going, I want this. Because it really lets their teammates know that they're determined, they're going to rip it in, and they're confident.
And also, they don't want to waste time. Only 8 minutes 30 on the clock. As Ariang comes off, Dehaney takes the goalkeeper bib.
Almost a step there from a couple of players from the Vixens. Just curious release time. It was settled. It was caught flat. Maloney.
Kransberg looking deep, and there's a high ball, well placed, draws the contact.
Saw it early, wanted it early as well. That is a connection that is why Beckford has been brought into this side. We are seeing the tactical timeout called here.
Western indicating she wants that 90 seconds, rally the troops. Such a strong leader within the Vixens camp, and no doubt they can use it now. They're down by 1 goal.
Yeah, they wouldn't be happy with a couple of aspects of the start. I thought they did start cleaning up a little bit, but there's a couple of passages of play where the communication just wasn't clear, and a couple of flat options really feeding into the pressure that this Fever side has put on.
Some good moments from both teams, as we can see what a ripper take from Garvin under the post. So strong. Equally, Zara Walter having a great game. Geelong youngster in front of her regional Vic fans.
Yeah, I imagine a few faces from Colac down here today watching young Walters. It's a great opportunity for them not to travel maybe as far as some of the Melbourne games. Just nicking over to Ballarat for the day.
I know it is only 90 minutes from Melbourne, so great opportunity to make the trek down the highway. Of course, this weekend is made possible by the support of City of Ballarat and the Victorian Government. So great to get some netty down in regional communities. Of course, Fever doing their most, heading up to Port Hedland to all of their fans there. But if you are at home and wanting to show your support for the Vixens, head online to shop.melbournevixens.com.au and pick up some of the new merch. I reckon the hoodies are looking pretty good, Matt Blomley. How do you see yourself fitting into one of the scarves or beanies?
Oh, look, I don't mind a beanie, and I also don't mind a hoodie. I'm known to wear a hoodie around quite regularly. I am somewhat accustomed to staying around in my bum around clothes, to be honest.
Well, might be cold outside, but I tell you what, it's hot in here. The Fever leading by 1. Play resumes halfway exactly through the 4th term.
And speaking of hot outside, it's just a pleasant 25 currently here in Ballarat. The stadium has been well cooled, even up in the ethers where we are.
Got the best view in the house, but great views for everyone checking out the Melbourne Vixens drawing level. 7 minutes to go. Fever working around the transverse, having to be patient. Teague Nield driving to the pocket to generate options. What are the goalers going to do here? It's Beckford dancing out wide, leaving a one-on-one. That was interesting. Interesting decision.
Yeah, I think really making the option of working an angle there, and you will notice the changes occurred. Eddie and Weston had swapped up positions back into more traditional wing defence, goal defence, and Rudy Ellis has just stepped on court into the goalkeeper bib.
And Mannix just taking a short break, and Fever on their feet.
Once again, we're seeing the Vixens getting caught on top of each other, not getting the separation. Possibly just need someone to go wide on the opposite side of the court there.
Fever hugging the sidelines. Teague Nield sticking to the side. There's the switch. Flinging it cross court. Beckford. High
Isn't
ball.
she going confident now after that little bit? She was a bit nervous, you could see at the start of when she came on to play, but now she's really not afraid to release and bring it on. And a couple of other changes here for the Vixens. I don't think they want to lose this one. They've brought Mundy back into wing attack, and Kira Austin has returned into the goal attack bit.
Fever taking their time. Fowler getting clobbered from both sides. The impact of Joe Weston back to that goal defence bib. Noted.
So this is 3-goal lead currently to the Fever. It's a tough thing going into what's about to be the super shot period. The beautiful 5 minutes, but this is why the Vixens have brought Kira Austin back on.
Because the read of Garvin's hold there, absolutely sublime. Garvin doing so much work to have her body on the right angle, have her feet set up, and when it's read so quickly, makes life a lot easier.
And you can't mistake the work that Garvin is doing to create that. As we hear the siren for the 5 minutes, Fowler will go. I'm going to make sure this is a single still. 58-61 with that just under 5 minutes to go.
Vixens down the gut. They're searching indicating they want the super shot. They want their option to have 2 points go on to the score, and they make good of it. Fever holding on by 1 goal.
And look at the block out work then from Austin immediately after. Sinks a beautiful shot, Hunt into Ellis, but then gets straight back into defence. Sink this, Janelle Fowler. Oh, what a rebound.
She sits Western down off court. And the options are plenty for Fever.
Stunning 2-point. Super shot there, Beckford.
How exciting for Beckford. She's never played SSM before, so no doubt a great moment for her.
And a great moment for all the shorter goalers out there as well, I must say. Too many people get told they're too short for it. And this is something Coach Dan Ryan had been told a few times himself. And then plenty become prolific.
Being the change he wants to see in the netballing world. We love to see it. The Fever rip down the sideline. Look for the reset. Kransberg reads the hold of Ariang, but it's not a hold, it's a contact, says the umpire.
Didn't Austin set that up beautifully? Really let the umpire know what had occurred, but just kept a strong position. Oh, fantastic, Katie Ann Dehaney. That is the attack that she hasn't done too much of. She's great hands over the ball. That one, why she is there, she can jump and block.
And she can get all of the Fever fans up on their feet. All of her teammates stoked with that effort. Fowler takes time, a secure 1-pointer.
And this is, we spoke about this earlier, it seems to be a bit of a game plan there from the Fever, where they've had a turnover, try and secure the goal, and then try and get the conversion once again off the centre pass.
And an offensive contact from Fowler.
Just slowly turns around, step out of play to say, are you sure? Strong take, Mundy has taken it, almost causing the step though.
Uncomfortable ball to Western, but Mundy, she's finding options. Maloney under the post. What a great ball. Perfectly placed for that 2-pointer.
And not going to miss the second one in a row. Kira Austin, this crowd is up and about after that one. Just under 2 minutes to go, and they are 2 goals down. The Melbourne Vixens, 62-64.
Mundy looking for options. Gut ball. To the pocket. That's a sensational take from Mundy. Flings it to Eddie, so strong. Vixens whipping the ball around, using all channels in this play.
And just a few other hands in there, but able to pick it up was Austin. Oh.
Unbelievable.
Well, certainly not believed by this crowd. Austin had forced her way in underneath. That's what the umpire said. The resultant action has then seen Austin on the ground. But this is at 2 minutes to go. Just over a minute to go. 2 goals, the difference. Look at the Fever, try and convert this. Western making sure she's giving it back though.
That's not what the Vixens needed at this late stage. This goal is going to hurt.
Yeah, centre pass now for the Fever. They're going to want to make sure they convert. 3 the difference.
Rudy Ellis, she leaves Fowler at home and it pays off with the tip. Goes out of court.
Almost keeps it in somehow.
Fever wanting to wind down the clock. 30 seconds to go, 3 goals up.
Got to get an early turnover here so they can get the score and the conversion. But I think Fever are going to do just enough to keep this lead.
Teague Neal takes her time. Beckford to Fowler. Vixens fans, they smell the blood.
And that was probably a little bit of the inexperience there on Monday. Yes, she's played some netball, but tried forcing that a little bit too much. 3 seconds, want to get the release, just got to get a shot off.
And that's the game. Fever they're victors of this one by 4 goals. Gee, they've had some tight tussles over their time, and that one really came down to the last minute, Matt Blomley.
It really did. There was opportunity there for the Vixens to bring that back. A couple of crucial moments, but what an effort from the Fever. After that first quarter being down by 5 goals, and then being down at each of the breaks after that, to then end up 4-goal victors. Coach Dan Ryan, imagine, be quite happy with that.
Absolutely, and for a team that's so new, so many new connections together, at the end of last season, they had 5-6 outs and had to replace them with all brand new players from all around the world. So goes to show what some creative recruiting does. Are there any particular standouts from either team for you today, Matt?
Let's talk about Wilkinson from the start. Really solid. We spoke about her a number of times for Fever. Love the injection of Beckford and what she did, especially towards the end and once she'd built some confidence. That combination, her and Fowler, cannot be dismissed by any means. But the combination, and Kira Austin and Sophie Garvin, that is one to watch as this season goes on.
Well, that's day 1 of the Ballarat Blitz wrapped up. What a fantastic showing of netball in the City of Ballarat, thanks to the City of Ballarat and the Victorian Government. Plenty more netball to come tomorrow. Tomorrow's matches, 11 a.m, Giants and Fever. Of course, they've had some great tussles over the last season. We'll see who goes again. Will Fever go 2 from 2 this weekend? And at 1 p.m, Vixens and the Thunderbirds, the match that everyone's been waiting for. The Thunderbirds, they're somewhat of a new look team as well. Vixens wanting to make amends for this performance. Some fantastic netball from all teams in this pre-season tournament. Matt Blomley, thank you so much for coming down. You've been a joy to have.
Thank you for putting up with me, and thanks to all the people watching at home. We're thrilled that you're able to join us on the live stream, and everyone that was here, great to see you in Ballarat.
Of course, there are a couple of tickets up for grabs, so if you want to get those, snap them up online. And if you're keen for the Melbourne Mavericks in round 1 and you're a Vixens fan, head to melbournevixens.com.au or Ticketek to book. And of course, Melbourne Vixens memberships are on sale. Head to the same website. And Fan Day, Thursday the 4th of April. So much action for the Vixens, so much merchandise to pick up. Come give us a visit. Head to Selkirk Stadium tomorrow, or just join us from the same place. Join us online. My name's Hannah Kuhar. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you again tomorrow.